Hi everyone, it's Mwelwa and I'm at the beautiful Diana Beach, which is the venue for this year's 2024 NOVACOM Summits. Financial Insight is proud to be a media partner of this exclusive event that brings together the heads of telcos across Africa and CTOs who will be discussing over a 3-day period of various technology trends that are happening in their jurisdictions. I'll be part of the media team that will be covering this particular event, so look out for the exclusive interviews that will be coming on all our platforms. From me, Mwelwa Sakunda, stay tuned to all our platforms and get to know. Hello everyone, welcome to another special episode of the Financial Insight Show. Financial Insight Show, our media partners this year at NOVACOM 2024 at Diani Beach in Kenya. And with me is none other than Danny Coach, who is from African Data Centers. Danny, how are you doing?
I'm good. And it's a pleasure really joining this whole, group of very good peers and industry captains, as we talk about the future of technology and what exactly we are doing that makes us tick. Thank you.
Absolutely. And for our viewers back in Zambia and obviously across Africa that are going to be watching this, tell us a little bit about, the company that you represent. And by the way, is this your first or second NOVACOM?
The very first NOVACOM, but I will say I've had the opportunity of attending or participating in similar events before. So really quite a privilege to really have been invited so that I can have an experience of what NOVACOM is all about. But I will say so far so good. The experience, the faces that I've been able to meet, it's been beyond my expectations. And probably you might ask why. I think for me it's just because for the very first time we are also meeting some of the industry captains or executives who really their greatest desire or interest is to get to know why should I come and offer my services in Africa. What's so good in Africa for this emerging technology, and what is the experience that you guys have had to make you guys be a leader in the space that you are in. You asked for the organization that I work for, so I'm the managing director for Africa Data Centers in East Africa. So as the name just rightfully suggests, Africa Data Centers has multiple data center facilities. We've got presence in South Africa, that's in Johannesburg and Cape Town. We've got data center facilities in Nigeria to serve our West African market. We've got data centers in East Africa as well, in Nairobi, where we have the flagship or the very first data center, and of course now it's turned out to be the largest or the biggest. And at times customers also want to know, when you say largest or biggest, what exactly do you mean? Okay. It's large because we host the highest number of financial institutions in East Africa. It's large because we host over 100 connectivity or communication service providers. It's again large because we have over 10 years of experience, and that really just speaks to the operational excellence that we've been able to achieve to make customers see us as that dependable and trusted partner when you're talking of mission critical services. And last but not least, we are talking about Africa being home to cloud, as opposed to Africa, pushing their data to clouds, outside of the continent. We want to bring Africa's data back home. We want to make sure that cloud footprints are also available in Africa. Then that's what Africa Data Centers is doing, making sure that when you talk about cloud services in across the world, Africa also becomes a supplier to cloud services or cloud capacity across the world, so to speak.
Right, that's a very interesting, a description of the services. But obviously, some of our viewers would like to know what the journey has been like and how you found yourselves at cloud. And are you also able to tell us about, where your head office is actually centered? Because it sounds that you are now a Pan-African, technology company.
We're indeed a Pan-African technology company, and that has been, again, a result of a very illustrious, at times painful, but again also successful journey or experience that we've had. So we've been able to have very good outcomes in terms of having started. I'll say in Kenya, we started our journey as a telecommunications company, probably 15 years.
And you have a telecoms background.
I have a telecoms background myself. Right. So we started off with a telecommunications company in East Africa, and that telecommunications company was primarily addressing something. There was a need for us to have competition in the market, because as it is elsewhere across Africa, a lot of the telecommunication service providers were government owned and run. And the organization that I work for broke monopoly in Zimbabwe. The same organization I work for broke monopoly in Kenya. And this is what we call Cassava Technologies Group today.
Right.
So Cassava Technologies is the former Econet Wireless, and rightfully, as everyone else can today relate, due to the need for digital transformation, reorganizing our businesses to meet customer needs, we've sort of made sure that while we were really strong on building telecommunications and technology infrastructure by way of a network and a data center, we are also remodeling our organization so that we've got services that can make use of this very infrastructure that we have by way of the network and the data center. That is how comes the infrastructure side. We've got telecommunications infrastructure, which is the network. We've got data centers, and we also have renewable energy solutions in the form of distributed power technologies. But on the shared service, on the services side, we then talk of cloud and cybersecurity. We then talk of a fintech solution. We then talk of anything that can sweat the assets that we already have, but that doesn't mean that the services that we are talking about are solely what is making use of our infrastructure.
Now, obviously, you can't run away from the question of artificial intelligence.
Yeah.
Many believe that artificial intelligence is obviously the next cycle in technological evolution, if I could call it that. How is your company positioning itself to not only facilitate but be an enabler? Because it is believed that artificial intelligence will resolve many of the challenges across the globe, but then specifically for Africa, how is your company positioning itself?
You are right that right now, again, it could be cliche, it could be the current buzzword. Everyone is talking AI. The very first thing that our organization has done is to make sure that as we have it as a buzzword out there, that AI is the next thing. It's the next big thing, or it's actually the big thing right now. I always tell guys that anytime I see conversations around digital transformation, people actually have some sort of feel that this is going to happen in future. But no, it's something that happens presently. It's only that you need to you probably need to dig up so that you identify where exactly is it actually impacting or disrupting lives today. Right. But most importantly, we need to make sure that we're asking ourselves, how do we future-proof ourselves against what it's going to do tomorrow? We are also doing this in partnerships with high institutions of learning. We are also doing this by way of having some sort of academic programs or initiatives that sort of create room for those that have an idea on how exactly can AI be translated into a solution, into an innovation that meets a need in Africa. And how do we make sure that we also future-proofing ourselves on what we feel is going to be an outcome of the disruptions of artificial intelligence. So I will say that's where we are at right now, but we believe that is the right thing. Making sure that we take a proactive approach, and when we take a proactive approach at not only understanding these technological concepts and translating them into needs or solutions, we also want to make sure that we can future-proof ourselves against them disrupting what we do, and that's what we do really. Thank you. Right.
Okay. So just as a final question, NOVACOM obviously provides a very unique networking experience. How important will partnerships for your company be going forward?
Partnerships are not only going to be important to us going forward, and what NOVACOM is doing really fits into something that we believe in. We believe that people do business with people that they know, with people that they trust, with people that they have a clear understanding of in terms of their ways of doing things. So NOVACOM provides us a very good opportunity to meet our customers. So this is something that, while we always do it by way of engaging our customers every other time, what NOVACOM has done in terms of giving us an opportunity to bring select executives and give us a chance to have a one-on-one conversation with them, gives us an opportunity to hear from them firsthand. What is their experience in terms of our services? Where will they want us to probably help them in terms of the challenges that they also face? And then last but not least also, we also get to know what are their future plans. And whatever we do, we want to make sure that we are doing it with the, with the voice of the customer really at the center of everything that we do. And that's what NOVACOM addresses to us. And this is something that really is a natural to us. And we will only be happy to join NOVACOM next time again, because that's a good thing.
Absolutely. That's encouraging to hear.
Yeah.
No, thank you so much, Danny. And we'll look forward to engaging with you during the course of the two-day event.
Thanks a lot. It was a great conversation having this financial insights discussion. And thanks a lot, everyone. Cheers.
All right. There you have it. Tune in for more interviews from NOVACOM. This has been Mwelwich Vesakunda.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Can I call you DR as well?
Call me DR. Everyone does. Yeah.
Super.
Yeah.
Alrighty. Well, nice to meet you again, and crazy time out here at NOVACOM.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can we maybe talk a bit more about NOVACOM, and then we
Sure.
can sort of segue into TOTO. Please, I'm curious why you chose NOVACOM.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So I lead a startup out of Texas. You know, I think I could rephrase your
Yeah.
question of what is a girl from Texas doing at
Pretty
NOVACOM in
much.
Kenya?
Pretty much.
Right. So I have a startup out of Texas called TOTOGI, and it focuses on telco software exclusively. And really what makes us unique is that we focus on putting telco software in the public cloud. And the public cloud is really great because it really lowers your operational cost for managing compute-intensive workloads, and also gives you access to amazing software. And so for us, a place where we're really getting a lot of initial traction is in Africa, because there's
Interesting.
yeah, no, it's been amazing. There's a lot of crazy things going on in Africa when it comes to telco. We just talked about your home country issuing over 40 MVNO licenses in Nigeria, which is going to be a little bit of a land grab. It's going to be really interesting to see that whole thing roll out. And so we're talking to different telcos over there. Certainly, and we're going to talk a little bit later about one of our latest customers, Zain Sudan, where we did a big installation in record time. And so, yeah, there's a ton of things going on in Africa, and NOVACOM does a really great thing, which combines telco executives in an intimate setting where I can meet with them, almost like a speed dating kind of thing, and meet a lot of telco execs in a short period of time. So NOVACOM's been amazing.
Fascinating. That's a whole lot to take in.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But thank you. And I think we can sort of talk a bit more now about, you mentioned one of your latest customers,
Yeah.
Zain Sudan, and you had like a record installation.
Yeah, yeah.
And let's talk a bit more about that.
Yeah.
And I think we can start from talking about why you needed to even have a record installation.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's a
So
good
I don't
start.
know how much you know about Sudan, but
Pretty much.
it's one of the biggest humanitarian crises on the planet, right? It's been in civil war, and the different factions are fighting, but 2 of the 3 telcos completely lost power to their data centers. Their data centers are 2 separate data centers purposely separated apart for this issue. If one goes down, the other one will pick it up. But what happened is they lost power to all the data centers. And so the network went dead. I mean, you literally can see it. Cloudflare does a tracking of all the world's networks, and it just goes flatline. And so in the middle of a humanitarian crisis, this is a huge deal. People can't get money. They can't keep in touch. They can't get the news. They don't know what's going on. And so it was absolutely devastating. Millions of people unable to communicate. So we had been working with Zain Sudan about this idea. It was like an emergency backup. And I was like, what are the chances that 2 data centers go down? And, but then it happened. And so they gave us a call, and they're like, hey, you know, remember that thing we drew on a piece of paper? It's time to put it into action. And so the whole idea was, you know, helping them to bring their network back up and to provide the capability to monetize and rate the actions on the network by the people. Traditionally, a legacy incumbent vendor would probably take at least 6 months, and probably more like 18 months to get a brand new system up and running.
Okay,
But we were able to do it
Interesting.
in 18 days.
That's
right?
interesting. So
Yeah.
18 days as opposed to 18 months.
Yeah.
Fascinating. And when you say network, I'm curious if we can be a bit more specific about
Yeah.
what type of networks.
Yeah,
what
I'm talking about
network
the
we're
mobile
thinking.
network, right? So people's
Super.
cell phones, people's mobiles, you know, the ability to just, you know, send money or text or look up the news or make a phone call, right? Just completely dead. I have a graphic I can share with you that you can put into your article, but it literally on February, I think it's like 4th or 5th, it just goes completely dead, and no one has connectivity. So, so yeah, that's what I mean by network, right?
Yeah.
Like the network.
Yes, we've talked about why public cloud is good, but there seems to be a perception that regulatory-wise, there are lots of constraints about running things like telcos, banks, and whatnot.
Yeah.
But let's stick with telcos,
Yeah,
right,
yeah.
on the public cloud. How do you sort of
Get
think
around
about
that,
how do you do
deal
that?
with that? Yeah. So in the last 5 years, the hyperscalers have really been investing in Africa. 6 years ago, there were no regions here. A region consists of 3 availability zones. So basically a mega data center.
Yeah.
There are 3 data centers separated by at least 100 kilometers. And so each one represents about $3 billion US of investment. And there's now 3 of them, one by each hyperscaler, AWS, Azure, and Google Cloud.
Yeah.
They're in Joburg, they're in Johannesburg, and in Cape Town. And then AWS also has 2 local zones, one here in Kenya and one in Nigeria.
Yeah.
And that's just one availability zone. So that's like billions of dollars being invested in Africa. Also, some of the largest groups in forward-thinking telcos are beginning to adopt the public cloud. Safaricom famously uses AWS. MTN has signed a great deal with Azure, and Vodafone Group with Vodacom has a great data deal with Google Cloud. So the big groups are already beginning to move in this direction. And I think, just to your point, how do you get around the regulations? I always talk to telco execs, and sometimes the initial response is, no way, we can't use it, we're highly regulated. But I'm always like, let's go actually read them and read the fine print, because it's not necessarily black and white. Like, there's really shades of green, right? And so some of it is like a no-brainer, you can totally use it. Some of it, it's a little bit of work. You have to prove it's like more secure than your own data center. And then there's a couple countries in Africa where it is a little bit more difficult, and maybe the answer is no at the moment. But this is moving fast and changing, and so I think we're going to see a lot of adoption of public cloud in Africa.
Yeah, interesting. That sounds very American.
I mean, I'm certainly trying to make that happen.
Yeah, and so let's talk about what's next for you. You've done all of this great work with Zain Sudan.
Yeah.
I'm curious what's coming down the pipeline.
Well, Zain Sudan is a 2G network, and 2G came around in the early 90s, right? It's kind of an old network, and I have all this modern, crazy software that's built on the public cloud. You're like, how do these things go together? But they absolutely can, right? We're supporting their monetization on a 2G network, and what's next is we're going to add AI to that, right? Oh. So AI is a huge topic, right? It's burst on the scenes, especially in the last 18 months because of generative AI, and we're certainly using generative AI in our product in Zain, but also machine learning, right? So the ability to detect the opportunity to increase revenue for the telco is a huge topic for the industry, not just African telcos, but every telco in the world is looking for ways to monetize their network in new ways. And so we are creating a machine learning model that can detect ways to stop someone from leaving, right? We can detect churn 6 weeks in advance, like before you even realize that you're going to churn. We can tell that you're beginning to think about churning. And so think about what the telco can do to send you an SMS or send you an email or to give you a call to say, hey, we love you, we really want to keep your business. Or looking for those opportunities of, everyone uses the network in a little bit of a different way. Like, I don't really listen to music or play games or stream, but I travel. Like, I'm in Kenya, I was in Egypt, I'm a roamer. Right? So you can get me like a really awesome roaming deal. My son is a big video gamer. My daughter loves Snapchat and TikTok. And so even in the same household, we use a network in different ways. And you could start to come up with new packages and new offers that in micro ways gets people to spend a little bit more money and increases the revenue to the telco. So
interesting. So pretty much
I call it hyper-personalization.
Yeah.
So Amazon does this, Google does it. Certainly when you're surfing the web, you're being served ads that are based on your browsing history, right? When you go to Amazon and you put stuff in your cart, it knows here's something you might also need and like. And so applying that same idea to telco.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That's interesting to sort of turn around my head.
Yeah.
And
I can see you thinking about it.
yeah, pretty much. And thinking about it and trying to generate a few more questions, but I think we've come to the end of this.
This is super
interview.
awesome.
Thank you very much, Daniel.
thank you,
thank you very
Abraham.
much, DR.
Yeah.
Right? That feels more cool.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay.
Thank
you,
you,
Abraham. Take care.
Thanks.
Hi, it's Mwelwa, and we're still on the sidelines of NOVACOM at Diani Beach in Kenya. And I'm about to have a conversation with Alice from Airtel. How are you doing, Alice?
I'm fine, thanks, Mwelwa. Pleasure to meet you.
It's always a pleasure to talk to our friends from Airtel. We know we have Airtel in Zambia, but you sit at Africa. So tell us a little bit about your role at Airtel Africa, as well as why you came to NOVACOM.
So Alice Karaoke is my name, Director for Public Policy at Airtel. I oversee 14 countries, issues of public policy, government relations. Within those 14 countries, and Zambia is one of the countries, in fact, one of our flagship countries.
Right.
So
I hope you visited, by the way.
I've visited several times.
Okay.
And it's always a pleasure to be in Zambia. So why am I in NOVACOM? Again, a lot of policy conversations are happening at NOVACOM. Conversations about how do we push forward digital penetration, how can the railway tracks of telecommunications infrastructure be ubiquitous. Those are conversations that are close to my heart, and sometimes you need to hear them. You need to hear the pain from those who actually do the business. So that's why I'm at NOVACOM.
All right, fantastic. Anyway, Alice, we know that you've got a panel discussion, so thank you so much for speaking with us, and we hope we'll catch up with you.
All right, thank you, Mwelo. Appreciate it.
This has been Mwelo Chivesakunda at NOVACOM. Stay tuned for more insights and get to know.
All right.
Thank you for having me here today to have a conversation after our end of day.
A marathon.
Yes, end of day. It's been cool. I've been jogging all day today. We are having sand, good weather.
Yes.
And in between we get some work done.
Absolutely. Judging by the number of interviews you had, I think it's actually more work than the sun. So maybe we'll leave it down to one side. But I know you and I had several interviews today. You just ended with back-to-back interviews. Tell us what you found were quite interesting from the various conversations you had.
Oh man, I've had 3 podcast recordings today, and each one of them has been different and super interesting. So I'm really glad I was here today. For me, one of the most interesting one is this company from Tutogi. First, I almost always I do interviews one-on-one.
Right.
But this one was 2.
Exactly, yes, I noticed, yes.
Was 2. And I was like, this is actually quite interesting because we're talking about Sudan.
Right.
And how the one telco in Sudan just that had gone actually. So let me step back a bit. The 2 telcos in Sudan, they were all down. One, Zain, Sudan, who I had a privilege to talk to their director of IT, a gentleman called Abdallah Hamid, and their partner, a company that does charging as a service in telco industry, a company called Totogi, all the way from Texas, Austin, Texas. And they got them up and running in 18 days.
Wow, that was amazing.
That is a story that is worth continuously engage and talking about it. How you can move to that level of service. You're talking about traditionally companies like that. Incumbents would take 6 to 18 months to deploy the same kind of platform or service. This is charging as a service that took 18 days. It's an interesting human interest story because of what's happening in Sudan.
Correct, yeah.
It's also an interesting story about how companies partner beyond buyer-vendor relationship. Interesting stories. I am super privileged to be here today, and Mwelwa, asante sana, as we say in Kiswahili.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah. No, it's. I think I shared similar sort of experiences, but I think what really impressed me was that though I didn't know many of the the delegates, but getting to speak to them and get to know what they do for the companies they represent, and all of this is happening on African soil. I think for me it's
amazing,
really,
right?
It's amazing. So there's so many interesting stories. I mean, countless. I did about 5 interviews. I had Google in there. I never thought I'd ever speak to anybody from Google.
There you go.
And they were so accessible, so willing. Safaricom, I know, which is one of your biggest telcos here as well, shared with me insights. But what I think for me, the key takeaway is that I think for several African problems, it's interesting when telcos come here at NOVACOM and they're able to share their experiences and learn. I got that from literally each and every speaker that, as an operator. And I take back with me to Zambia, obviously, pride that, the sector is obviously promising and there's a lot that can be.
And I love the fact that we are here, beautiful Kenyan coast. We can see the sun setting. And I'm talking to a Zambian that I would never have met before, a fellow African. I have met a Sudanese guy. I have met guys from South Africa. I have met, and we are making good friends.
Absolutely.
And as we engage and get to learn from each other.
Absolutely.
So thank you so much. And it has been a great day. I know we've
got the cocktail and the dinner later. So we'll go and rest a little bit and then
rest a little bit
before we
catch up later.
Absolutely. So now that's when we do the fun in the sun.
Thank you,
ladies and gentlemen. That has been Ali and myself, Mwelwa, at Diani Beach in the coastal, just not too far from Mombasa. At Diani at NOVACOM. So stay tuned for more insights, and I'll put the link to Ali's page as well. Hopefully I can get some of your numbers, get a Kenyan audience. Oh, mine is like 30% his. But Ali, thank you so much for talking to me. And to all our followers, continue to follow all the insights and get to know.